Hello friends. I don't know if anyone else noticed this, but lately, over the last 1, 2 weeks, maybe longer, the crescent of the moon is on the bottom of the moon. So, of course, people would say, well, that is normal, it happens all the time. But I worked on a ship for 14 years and I worked often at night and had a clear view of the sky. And I always loved to watch the skies, the stars, and the moon. And I can't remember, basically, my whole life, I can't remember that I've ever seen this. Even when I was still studying to become a captain, you had to learn everything about the stars and the moon and the tides, all these things. And they show you this picture where the crescent always goes from left to right. And it was a very thick book. And there was nothing in that book that sometimes the crescent is also at the bottom. So, of course, there are always keyboard warriors who Google quickly and they come up with all kinds of answers and say, well, someone's granddaddy said it means this, or someone else says, well, it's just normal. But seriously, I've never seen. I'm turning 50. I've never seen this. Now, of course, it is possible, and I haven't uh, looked into it myself too deep, but it is possible that it is a cycle that happens every, I don't know, 100 years, 1,000 years, 6,000 years. I don't know. But what I do know, and what I think is interesting, and what I always wondered about, is why there are so many depictions in Mesopotamia and Babylon where they have depictions of this same moon, where the crescent is at the bottom. Well, these people in Mesopotamia and the Babylonians, they worshipped a moon god. So even modern day Muslims, they don't put the crescent at the bottom, but back then they did. So can it be that they depicted the moon at the bottom because they actually saw it back then, right? This was at the height of the Babylonian rule, right? Where they worshipped the demon gods. So in the time of Babylon, we also know that the Edomites living there in Mount Seir worshipped the moon god because they adopted the religion of Babylon. So even though Babylon fell, this religion, this ideology did not, because it was still in the Edomites, the sons of Esau, who lived in Judah while the Israelites were captive in Babylon. And when the Israelites came back, it was already a Babylonian thing, right? And these people never accepted Christ because they were not of him, but they started to make the rabbinical age. They started to call themselves Judeans. They even call their book after Babylon. They call it the Babylonian Talmud. So here we see the same symbol on the top of a Byzantine, so-called Byzantine Christian Roman church. But we all know who controlled the Byzantine Empire, and these same people caused this empire to collapse. And these Babylonians, through Edom, have even controlled modern day Islamic Turkey for hundreds of years. Because the people who control Turkey are not real Turks, they are Babylonians, right? And since the entirety of Islam uses the crescent moon, we understand now even more how these Edomite Babylonians were involved in the creation of this religion called Islam. So all of our Western leaders, and especially the ones they have to bow down to, they are Babylonians and they work through different people. And that's why Judaism and Islam and this false universal Christianity is all under the dominion and all created by the same people. Has nothing to do with the real covenant, which is for us, right? These are religions, and they use this to get rid of the people of the covenant, right? So it doesn't really matter if it's Islam or Judaism or Catholicism. It all stems from Babylon, right? And they love to use, because there are many of them, much more than you have Jewish people, but there are millions upon millions of people who believe in Islam, right? So Babylon, mystery Babylon, not just the financial mystery Babylon, the financial system, but also the ideology and the adversary against God's kingdom. They are now in control, right? They are now taken over, at least temporary, because they think it will be their last victory. But our God, our Father, will have the final word. So I was just looking at the moon, and I think this is just another of the many signs our Father has given us to show us what's really going on, right? Even though we don't even need those things, because if you just open your eyes and see that Babylon has taken over everything, our culture, our financial system, and now they're bringing in their own people with their own gods, right? But don't be discouraged. It's all written. It's all about to happen, right? And we are the remnant, right? So if the door is still a little bit open, which I doubt, bring brothers into it, right? Bring brothers in. Tell them the truth, right? So God bless you guys.